Welcome to Cardboard Conjecture. We're a podcast about board games where we have opinions and conclusions formed on the basis of incomplete information. This episode of Cardboard Conjecture is brought to you by these great Saskatoon businesses: Amazing Stories Comics on 8th Street, Dragon's Den Games on 8th Street, and Breakout Escape Rooms on Faithful Avenue. Welcome to Cardboard Conjecture. I'm your host, Norm.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Ian.
And on this episode, we are going to talk about board games all the time, talk about board games. And what's coming up in the next topic segment? It's Ryan, let us know.
Oh, we had to go into the archives. We had to go into the contest.
Yeah.
And this was a listener suggested, I guess, topic. And we all decided we were going to talk about how the heck do we store these games on our shelves? What's the right way? Maybe you'll find out. And this topic was suggested by a friend of the show, Hans Baker.
Cardboard Conjecture is proudly sponsored by Amazing Stories Comics on 8th Street in Saskatoon. They're the winner of the Joe Shuster Award for Best Comic Book Store in Canada, and they were also nominated in 2016 for the U.S. Eisner Spirit of Comics Retailer Award presented at Comic-Con. Amazing Stories' amazing collection of comic books, board games, puzzles, and collectibles can be found in their store or on their new online website. And we're back. This is Cardboard Conjecture. And you know what? I'm going to take a quick lead on this one because I played this game. It was inspired by the interview we had with Corey Kineska. And this is Space Hulk Death Angel, the card game. And the first time that I caught wind of this one was watching Rado, and he talked about this game that, like, the as Ryan would say, the new term we came up with, the immersive experience of this game is incredible. Like when we talked to him, I told him, how did you put all of this intensity and drama in a card game? And not just a card game, it's a hallway. You're basically the cards, a stacked hallway of your soldiers, and on the sides of them are the doors or the vents or the rooms, and that's where your aliens will jump up and down, attacking you from the sides. Now, these aliens are crazy because the way the card dynamic and mechanisms work, they're bouncing all over the place. And I think he Rado hit it when he described this as Aliens, like the second movie, Aliens, the card game, because you remember in the movie when they have that blip, right? It's like, oh, they're all over us, they're around us. That feeling of they're all over the place, man. They're all over the place. They're around us. It's in that card game as you're playing it, because you're going room to room and you're trying to get through that stage. Because if you could push through, you get to leave the aliens behind sometimes, or you get to, set them up and blow up a room and lessen that, because they keep going. I've played this. Oh man, I can't even count the amount of times I played this, and I can count on one hand the amount of times I've won, which to me is a good metrics for a challenging solo game. I've played this at 3-player, and at solo you get the minimum count of players, right? So it's a nice tight game. I played this 3 players, and holy, the immensity of the anxiety that's going on each round is insane. This game as well. You know what? Oh, here, look, we're doing video. Oh, my camera. I got the whole, it's like, I got that.
You're trying to be all fancy.
I'm trying to
show us all up.
Show us. No, it's not good. But it is based off of the Warhammer 40K series. So as far as the characters go, I don't have a clue. As far as the clans go, I don't have a clue. But they're awesome characters, and they got cool special powers, and yeah, for me, through the lens of the second Aliens movie, I am immersed, hands down. This game.
I just watched that movie this weekend.
Oh man, I don't know which one I like better, the first one or the second one, because there's just two different stress levels going on. Yeah. So yeah, this is and I'm sorry, but I think this is a out of print game too, which a lot of his games are, sadly said.
Well, it's because Fantasy Flight Games lost the rights to like Warhammer and 40K and a lot of those different licenses that they did. They don't have the rights to produce them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like why I can't find Forbidden Stars because it's a Warhammer 40K.
Yeah,
so.
It is too. So yeah, that was Space Hulk Death Angel, the card game. And of course, gentlemen, if this interests you, I'd be happy to lend it to you.
You've had it for a while.
I've had this for a long time.
I think it's one of the first games you got when you got into the hobby, actually.
Oh yeah. I mean that phase of the hobby when you get into it and you realize this is awesome and you just go by the shelf and just start tapping stuff into your cart as you're walking by. I want this one. I want this one. I want this one.
I don't know what that
that's like you at Kickstarter. I want this one. It's like now you just like get a little thumb press and you got
I just did that today actually. It just went boop boop.
So yeah, who wants to go up next? There's some heat and then there's
I
some
can go next.
Yeah,
sure.
I've seen this game tons. I've never played it. I'm so curious. Ian, give us.
I can't remember if I've talked about it before. So we played Scoville the other day, which is a game about peppers, chili peppers. And you're growing peppers in the garden. So if you want a game about gardening, here you go. Scoville is an interesting game because you're growing these peppers, but there's like different levels, right? So the peppers are all colors. And I'm not as much of a horticulturalist to know all the different types of peppers they could be. I guess you could assign them different names. This is a banana pepper. This is a jalapeno, whatever you want.
Scotch bonnet.
Yeah. But, well, it does have ghost peppers, which I hear a lot about. So, and the ghost peppers are actually like this translucent, cool plastic meeple, which is awesome. And so in the game, you're planting peppers and then you're gardener, you're moving him between the peppers. And the interesting thing here is that once you move between two peppers, depending on what color those are, they're going to crossbreed and create and give you something new. Ooh. So like, a red and a yellow pepper is going to give you an orange pepper. And an orange pepper is a level above. They're a little bit better. And then there's another level. Then there's like the black and white peppers are above that if you cross between like two orange peppers. Cool. And then what you're aiming for is to get a black pepper and a white pepper together, because then that gets you a ghost pepper if you can move between there. But the idea of like, building the garden and you're doing that collectively, like everybody is adding peppers all over the place, and then finding out what are the best routes to get the best peppers. That idea of the crossbreeding is really neat.
And is that like attributable to points? Like if you get...
Yeah. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to make chili recipes. And so you're like Flanders's 5-alarm chili and stuff like that.
Right.
And
the good old Ned.
And so what you're doing is you're like, there's a whole bunch of recipe cards and you have to get the exact amount of peppers. And so that's what you're kind of aiming for. Cool. Try to get... And the best, of course, the highest point ones are the ones with the really hard to get peppers.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a really cool game. It's even got like a little hidden bidding phase to it too. I can't remember what we're bidding on.
Because turn order is important in the game.
Yeah.
And that's what you're bidding for is turn order. Like
that's right.
You're bidding for when you're going to go. And
now these recipe cards, is there like a market that you pick from, or does everybody have a hand, or are you drawn from a deck?
It's a market. So you draw so many depending on how many players, and then that's all there is for the game. Like there's and then you know everything that'll be available the whole game. So you can kind of...
Are you able to like watch what other people are trying, like looking at their recipes in front of them and looking at their gardeners and going, oh, they need to go here. If I go there before.
A cool thing about this game is that everything is like hidden information. There's like, you have a little player screen that you keep your money and your peppers behind.
Oh,
and so you can't see what you have to try to remember what people have been collecting over the course of the game too. So that, there's no sniping or like intentional sniping, unless if you got a really good memory.
Well, what was your name again? Oh, sorry. I'm looking at a picture on BGG here, and I just saw that they have screens. And the moment that you have hidden information, you've called me intrigued, man.
Unfortunately, this is a Tasty Minstrel production, isn't it?
What does that mean?
Why is that Tasty Minstrel is out of business. Their games aren't being produced anymore, unless if another publisher.
Somebody might pick this up.
Somebody might be able to pick it up.
Or if there's one on the shelf, like it's not like they're going to pull the stock kind of thing.
Oh, no. If people have it in stock, they're going to sell them, but there's going to be no more new copies.
So
in the immediate future.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the picture. There's a lot of cubes. I like my cubes. So that might be a
the pepper meeples.
They're not cubes. They're shaped as peppers.
Are they shaped as
actual peppers? Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Pepper eeples.
Right on. Well, I might want to have a play at this. We might have to have like this round table interchange of, okay, you play this, I play this, you play this, I play this.
Isn't that called a math trade?
Well, not for keeps, man. Not for keeps.
Oh,
it's still in stock in places though.
Yeah.
Like I'm finding it online. You can still get it.
Perfect. Cool. Snatch up all those Tasty Minstrel games right now, because I think lots of them are going to be collector's items.
And was it Capstone? Well, speaking of Capstone, did they pick up Orleans? I heard somebody. Yeah, okay. So
Capstone Games has the
nice
rights
transition.
to Orleans.
Right. It's like a handoff, quarterback handoff to the running back.
Right. Fine. Because Capstone Games is hot. Like they're like the publisher. They actually kind of remind me of what Tasty Minstrel Games was back in the day. Like everybody wanted to buy Tasty Minstrel Games because of the outstanding production, great quality of game that they were putting out. And Capstone Games is doing the exact same thing. Right now, they have a bunch of pre-orders up that they just announced just not too long ago. One thing that I'm excited for is a Maracaibo expansion called Uprising. And oh my goodness gracious, let's take a look at Maracaibo Uprising. The first big expansion for Maracaibo, 5 modules that you can input into your games, like I don't even know. New co-op, a co-op mode.
You're so excited you can't talk about it.
I'm just jittering. Co-op mode, a new solo bot to play against. And they're describing it as rescue freedom fighter Lusa and support the uprising, drive out the European nations, and play against Jacques or Jean in a solo scenario. So the uprising, you're pushing back those colonial people trying to take you over, and you're just like, no, get them out of here.
Yeah, that Spirit Island influence. Yeah, the island fights back. Nice.
So, yeah, it looks really cool. I really enjoy Maracaibo. We played through the story campaign.
Well, and all 3 of us had a game of it too.
We had a game of it. It was one of those games that was really super hot, and then kind of like you don't really hear people talking about it anymore. But now that the expansion's coming out, people are going to start talking about it again.
Yeah.
Along the same lines, they just announced one of our favorite designers, Alexander Pfister, is coming out with a new game called Boone Lake. And 1 to 4 players, Norm. Yay! It's got a solo mode.
Yay!
Yeah, everything does these days, though.
Advertising a playtime of 40 minutes per player. So higher player counts is going to be a little time investment. It says his newest complex game that sees you making decisions to better your life and the settlements of life. Explore the landscape, build houses and settlements, raise cattle, and develop an infrastructure. Consider your actions very carefully. Your opponents will also be able to benefit the action that you choose. So a very Puerto Rico-like thing going on there. Each action determines how far you can move your ship along Boone Lake. So
I think that idea of that Puerto Rico thing where you do an action, everybody else takes that same action, that's going to mitigate that downtime. Because when you were saying it's 40 minutes per player, I'm like, oh man, these are one of these games where you just don't want to play a full count because you'd be like, okay, I'm going to go for lunch. Let me know when my turn comes. So yeah, no, that's a great choice as a designer.
But also, and I'm looking at the player board right now or like the game board. It's very colorful. Looks like lots of little custom wooden bits and things. Very Capstone-ish. Last one that's up for pre-order right now. A lot of people are talking about this one. Could possibly, like, it's like in those like heavy game of the year categories thing.
Mm-hmm.
Imperial Steam is up there. 2 to 4 players, 2-hour play time. And it's a train game is what I'm picking up on it. But it's, I don't know, hire and train workers, build factories, produce and deliver goods, upgrade your locomotives, carry goods and passengers.
So far, it sounded like every other.
Right? So, but it's got me intrigued. Capstone Games, like they
library
put out good
awesome
stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to see some gameplay videos of this one. That one's up for pre-order right now. I know I'm talking to Jeff at Amazing Stories. He's bringing in these games.
Nice.
All of them. And then of course we talked about that Capstone picked up Orleans and the expansions and stuff like that. So you can pre-order those. There's a Pipeline expansion. There is Iberian Gauge is just getting out there to people. Rift Force is a new 2-player kind of dueling card game that they're putting out. So they're on fire.
They're doing great things. Nice.
They're on fire. Clay, if you're listening to our podcast, thank you for listening to our podcast. But I want to get my hands on some of these. I want to talk about them. I want to unbox them.
He wants to get.
I want to show them off. I just want.
This episode of Cardboard Conjecture is proudly sponsored by Dragon's Den Games, located in the Louis VIII Mall on 8th Street in Saskatoon. Swing by Dragon's Den Games and let Darren, Al, and the awesome staff help you out in search for great board games, role-playing games, miniature systems, and all of the related accessories. Be a part of their gaming communities that have scheduled events in their great gaming area. Dragon's Den Games, Louis VIII Mall on 8th Street in Saskatoon.
And we're back. This is Cardboard Conjecture. We're going to go into some topics, and I'm going to let Ian walk us through what this episode's topic segment is.
Today, we're going to be talking about storage solutions for our board games. And we're going to be talking about the mega, how do we store on our shelves? And we're going to shrink it down into how do we organize inside the games themselves. We'll kind of look at the whole gamut there.
For me, it's like sponsored by Rubbermaid.
Rubbermaid?
Well, storage, what? Right? Storage solutions, Rubbermaid. He's got his head wrapped in cardboard right now.
Now I got like the Storage Wars.
We're off on a tangent already.
I want to see a locker of board games. $5.
Now he's talking unicorns. All right, Ian.
Okay, so let's talk about. Should we talk about game shelves first? Let's talk about our shelves.
Yeah, I think we have to talk about the shelves because that's really going to kind of define how someone's going to actually store the actual physical game. Sure.
Now, are we going through the subjective part, or are we going through the logical part that this is the less destructive way to store a game?
Well, we're going to get into all of this.
Yeah.
Let's throw down today.
I'm all about the picayune details here. So
yes.
Okay. So how do we organize our shelves? We got a few options here. I'm just going to read them out, and then I'm going to ask you guys what you do, and I'll see if I can answer it myself. I'm not even sure I can. First, actually, let's talk about vertical versus horizontal, because this comes up quite a bit.
Oh,
do you guys have
this
a
is
preference?
This is going to take up the whole segment here.
This is it. This is our entire
twitching
episode
already.
Right?
Okay. Ryan, what do you think?
Okay, so if
one better
people
than
are
the
actually
other?
watching this on Twitch right now or
Yeah.
YouTube, you can kind of see how I've been storing my games. And
Like artwork.
that's one thing. Friday Night Games did a mini segment on this quite a while ago, and they are works of art. The box covers, there's been artists that have been hired, so that's kind of how I've been displaying them. Now this is also in a room that usually only I visit, not very many other people actually come in here, other than my wife right now. She's kind of taken over the workspace, but I'll get past that.
Don't worry, I'll edit that out.
So I store them like art, but I do have some reservations because there's some of these ones behind me right now that I really don't think that they should be stored vertically.
You can feel the cards sliding out of the holders and dumping into the front of the box, can't you?
Right. If you're going to go with the vertical storage, you got to make sure that the components inside the game are nice and tight. Like you got to have the baggies. You got to put all your components into baggies, and you got to kind of organize them so that the heavy stuff's on the bottom, and then the not so heavy stuff is up there, and the middle of the lighter kind of stuff is in the top of the box. Because you want to try to prevent as much of the box separation, because that's what's happening with some of these games. Is, as you can see, if you were to slide it out, there's been some box separation, and a lot of the components are going to start spilling. Like if I just pull it out, the components are going to spill all over the place.
We'll put a pin in that when we talk about putting elastics around your board games. Yeah, the eye twitch going on. Ian, where do you stand on this?
I do both, so I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. I just try to make them fit however I can. I would say horizontal is better, simply for the same reason that Ryan says, is that you don't have
nothing shifting.
Yeah. But there are people that swear by vertical, and I don't know what the argument is. Why is it better?
Unless it's packed in such a manner that there's no way gravity isn't going to affect the items in the box coming out of their
I've got
custom trays or whatever, right?
I'm raising my hand like a good student.
Yes, Ryan.
So like, I understand because you can see my Lacerda games. Whoop, right. Yeah, there they are. They're all stored vertically. They have nice storage solutions in them, but I like these people that like to do them vertically, kind of like think of it like a bookshelf.
Yeah.
When you store your books, there's always this spine facing out type thing.
So it's aesthetic.
And it only really works that way if the boxes are nice and tight together.
Yeah.
So that you don't have that box separation that I'm talking about.
That air gets in there.
And then everything starts spilling out when you take it off the shelf and everything like that.
Interestingly enough, what you've just described, because I'm looking at my collection, and the majority of my collection is horizontal, but the only ones that are vertical are only vertical because they just fit in there perfectly. Right. We're to come back to Ryan's idea of
I've got a shelf.
There can't be any slop.
Can you see it just over my shoulder here? I got this shelf. It's the odds and ends shelf, just because it's got Concordia there. I'm not storing vertically.
Yeah.
There's no sense in it. Yeah, it's too tall.
Yeah.
Too heavy. And then there's some games that are kind of like sideways vertical, just on top of that, just because they do fit type of thing.
What I find is in my shelves, most of my cubbies, I can stack a row of horizontal games, and then there's usually enough space for one vertical.
Yeah.
And then that fills my cubby. So that's usually what I do.
And there's just enough space for that vertical so that the box doesn't open up and let stuff drop.
Now, and now game publishers and developers and the box art people do a very good job of triggering game collectors, because they'll do things like number the side of the box, like Aaliyah Ravensburger does. You got your big box collection of 1, 2, 3, 4, and I like to display. I would love to display that I have all of the numericals in order, anything that. Because let's face it, some of the front boxes are kind of plain looking. I wouldn't really care.
Plain looking
to
Euros?
Look at.
No.
Yeah. like if you had the choice, Norm, you would hang that Hansa Hanukkah piece as an artwork on the wall behind you type of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. Just as a reminder, as hey, I have a shot at being an artist too.
One thing I think that the game publishers do a really good job of, though, is I've been noticing that a lot of them on their spines have usually like 3 spines that are designed for horizontal stacking, but then they'll always do 1 spine specifically for a vertical stack.
That right? Book spine,
and I think that's really cool. I really like the way they do that.
Well, they put some. It says they put some thought into it.
Yeah, because there's a huge divide amongst horizontal storage versus the vertical storage. Okay, let's go into the horizontal.
I would like them to put a little bit more into the actual images on the box and make sure they're not really stupid looking, like my Eclipse, for example. Because everybody thinks about the box cover, but you got to think about the artwork on the spines, because that's what's usually showing in the game on the game shelves. So make that look the best it can be. Don't have a stupid alien with a elephant trunk. Then
okay. So now with the horizontal storage,
you're still still on it.
No. Okay. So I had worries about the vertical storage, about the box separation, blah, blah. Horizontal storage. You got to make sure you're putting the heavy game on the bottom and the lighter games on top. There is
a crush factor.
No, there is. It's real. I've accidentally put a heavier game on top of Takedo, and my Takedo box caved in.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And that's also my fault. I didn't actually understand, but also the Takedo box is a little bit larger too, so that the Ticket to Ride heavier sized box went in right in the middle and caved the middle.
Isn't Takedo a light game to begin with?
Dun-dun-dun. Loved it.
Ian, take us through these bullet points.
All right. So
wait. I'm not done. So
this will be a 4-part series.
But okay, so if you're putting them in horizontally and you want to bring out a game for game night, there's that wear on the box of sliding it out from underneath these other games, especially if it's one that's on the bottom or in the middle. And now you're starting to whiten the cover because you're sliding it in. Because you don't have that if you store it vertically.
You'd be like comic book sleeving your games, man.
Okay. So Ryan started off on the horizontal side, but now he's all about vertical.
So I obviously do a whole bunch. I'm just like you guys. I do however it fits, and I like to store the artwork on the outside. But these are things people need to think about when they're storing their games. Choose a style.
Well, these are things people can think about. I don't know if they need to.
If they've got nothing better to think about.
No. We're talking about the hardcores here. Like, this is who
true.
we're.
Good point.
Okay, so we've got the physical stuff done now. Let's move into the.
But no, I'm just kidding.
All right. So when you're putting your games on your shelves, do you think about like what games go where? So now with our reviews, we talk about our rating system is like top shelf, middle, but I don't think any of us actually do that, right? Like we don't.
Yeah, I know.
So
it's a theoretical evaluation.
How do you guys organize? Do you go alphabetical is something I really want to try, but I don't think it would work very well. Do you do like publisher sections, designer sections? Do you group same themes together? Do you group the same mechanisms together? Do you have the colors? Do you have a color scheme running through your collection? What do you do? Norm, what do you do?
You know what just popped in my head is we should do an experiment and every week organize follow our bullet point show notes. All right, this week we're gonna alphabetize it. Next week we're gonna
whoa. I can't do that. My game collection is your guys' 2 game collections put together. I have no time for that.
As far as the how I organize my stuff, I try to keep like I'm looking around. I have my Stefan Feld section. I have my Martin Wallace 2 shelves worth. So
designers.
I guess I go by designers, but then I'm looking. I got my little Capstone, corner with Irish Gauge, Ride the Rails, Hashbleneck, and and then my GMT. So I guess a little bit of both, right? My small box stuff, I'll go small box. It has its own, kind of like storage area, and that one's mostly okay. You guys are all the same size, and you fit conveniently on this shelf, and like the 2-player games that have come out, like the what is it, like the 7-inch by 7-inch box.
I use those for gap fillers.
Shims.
Like, there's a gap here that might fit in this one. Yeah,
I have a wonky table and I use it as a shim under a leg. I do it mostly by publisher and designer, I guess. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I think I go by color actually, because
if you look at Ian's shelf, Ian, take a picture, put it on Twitter. You got to see this thing. Yeah.
Because I have cubbies, right? And I usually, like, other than the weird shaped ones, which we'll get to in a second, but like the regular box size that will all fit in a cubby, I usually group them by color. So like if games have more of a blue color scheme, they all go together. If they've got a white, they go together, and so on. I'm going to say color.
And then sometimes you put the mood ring on and you wait till the mood ring gets to a shade and be like, and it's that corner of the Kalex that we're going at.
Yeah. Ryan, what about you?
Okay, I'm a hot mess at the best of times.
We know.
So
we're still your friend.
Thanks. But I'm more of a publisher type of organization. My Fantasy Flight games are generally all together. You can see all my Eagle Griffin games are all together. My Stonemeyer games are all together. And then outside of that, that's what I usually try to do, because they're usually always they're generally, if I group them together by publisher, it's usually the same kind of game.
Yeah.
Or game experience. Not always, but
this just popped in my head. Your Eagle Griffin collection is similarly your Ian O'Toole collection.
But that's just because but everything. You can just see just beside my microphone here, I've got my big boxes. Like those are those awkward boxes that we're talking about, like my Alhambra Mega Box, my Mechs versus Minions, and all that kind of stuff.
And every Kickstarter coming in lately.
Yeah. Yeah. So I generally try to do by publisher, and then anything that I kind of have like one-offs of, like from certain publishers or anything, I try to do it by theme. So like space games go together, and like civilization or trading on the Mediterranean games kind of go together. And then I do the same thing, Norm, here. I've got my 2-player game section over here, and my family weight games. Actually, I just created a new shelf just for Regan. So he has his games collection. So my kids' games collection has a spot and everything. But my main one that I try to start off with is by publisher, if it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, sometimes.
And that's also, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. That's also because of that thing with publishers too. They try to do the same style boxes, and so they would actually look decently nice if they were all lined up in a row or something like that. What would be really cool is if a publisher created a whole bunch of different games, but had their box art actually like create a land. Oh wait, somebody is doing this. Queen Games is doing it with the new Stefan Feld City Collection.
Yeah.
Where it's all the games lined up together are making a skyline of different buildings.
Century did that with their trilogy on the
Century
spine.
did that.
And on the face too. Yeah.
Yeah, they did it both ways, spine and front cover.
Yeah. What you talk about sometimes where you try to it, the last bullet in the notes, sometimes that's exactly what my collection is. And the rule is let chaos reign. Like Ian, like you mentioned, that's a filler in here and filler in there. So yeah, sometimes it's just a matter of, I got a stack of games happening on my desk and I just need to put them in the shelf wherever I see an empty spot.
This episode is proudly supported by the amazing team at Breakout Escape and Board Game Lounge from right here in Saskatoon. Using industry-leading technology, Breakout Escape's escape rooms are all 100% uniquely designed by the team, ensuring their patrons have maximum fun while staying safe. As well, they are a fully licensed board game lounge with over 400 titles to select from to ensure fun for every gamer, new and experienced. Be sure to check them out at breakoutsask.com. At Breakout Escapes and Game Lounge, they believe that life is more fun when you play games.
Well, I would say the biggest determiner for trying to organize your collection is the box sizes, right? Like that's what you got to deal with first. And my friends would always make fun of me because I always had a cubby section that was my classic section, because it had like Risk and Monopoly and Scrabble, and I kind of all had them in one spot. And then I thought, well, I was down on the bottom, right? And actually, I'm going to talk about my shelves in a little bit, but they were actually sitting on the floor, not even on a shelf, on a floor, but in the cubby. And so I started thinking, I'm like, that is like my Risk set from when I was a kid. If my basement floods, which it has, that's going to wreck that game. And I don't want that game wrecked. And I started thinking about things like that even. I'm like, okay, I've got to think about what are the games that I would not be able to replace, because now those are going higher. Because I got to put them higher.
That's
up.
the reason why we have the top, middle, bottom shelf. Because if you're on the bottom shelf, we're willing
really
to
about
let you
flooding.
get flooded.
Yeah. On the ground is the trade pile, and it's okay if it floods.
But like Ryan said, he's dealt with his big box games. He's got them all kind of sitting on the top of his shelves, but those awkward shaped ones like Sushi Go in that stupid tin, what do you do with that? That's got to go on the top of something.
Yeah.
You got to deal with those.
It's usually the ones that sit on the top of your bookshelves, where it's sort of like, okay, you're like in the overflow.
Right. Can't Stop is another one. Can't Stop is annoying.
What was that?
It juts out just a little bit.
Forbidden Island. I think that's another one of those metal tins that it was like you're an odd duck amongst these cardboard boxes.
Yeah. Power Grid and Concordia, like Ryan mentioned, those ones are bad ones too.
Yeah. But at least they're all that same size. So if you have like the Power Grid lineup, then
So what you see on my Calyx shelves back behind me here is actually behind them. I actually already I have like 3 or 4 games in that shelf already, and they've been pushed to the back so that I can put another one in front as the artwork. So if you have Calyx shelves, I highly recommend. That got me an extra 30 some games onto a shelf, when normally I would have just had like the spine showing, or they're horizontally, vertically. I actually had originally, when I had bought these shelves, I tried to actually have one cube go vertical, the next cube go horizontal, the next cube, and try to alternate in a pattern. But it was very hard to do because of what Ian says here. The box sizes just make it almost not possible, because some of them are too long that if I put them on a Calyx shelf, they jet out. They stick out. That's why they have to go on the top shelf.
I'm going to throw this out there because people that are getting into the hobby, they'll hear about IKEA and Kalex shelves all the time, and kind of tying into what Ian talked about in regards to protecting the game. You know what? If you got a collection the size of if you got a significant collection, you part of that collection, I think, is making sure you've got a good shelving system. Because, I mean, what's the Secret Cabal ongoing bet when Chris's hanging shelves are going to fall off his wall, and he's got all these gorgeous games, right? So I'm thinking maybe that is part of the collection now. Is all right, what are the shelving units to get? Because I mean, I'm a carpenter, I can build my stuff, but I'm looking at your Kalex and it's like, that's a nice looking shelf unit.
Yeah, one I actually bought from IKEA, and then I always have an alert on Kijiji. If Kalex ever gets mentioned, I get a notification so that I can take a look at it. Right? And so actually what I'm really in the hunt for, so if you're in the Saskatoon area, I really want I need a Kalex 3x3. I want a Kalex 3x3. That'll make I've got plans.
This is turning into like one of those prairie phone-in shows. All right, I've got a half gravel pickup with a half load of gravel in the back if anybody wants it in the next week.
My shelves are interesting because I got them from a furniture store, from the Brick, from people who are in Canada. And they're not, like, the cubbies are not the same sizes, which is usually, like, the IKEA ones are all pretty standard, but the cubbies are all the same sizes. Mine aren't, because it's almost like a jigsaw puzzly kind of way that they're arranged. So they're arranged a little bit more interestingly, I guess. So I've got some cubbies that are quite big. So if I wanted to put Power Grid down horizontally, I could. Mm-hmm. And then I've got ones that are a little bit smaller, and some that are, so like, most of them. I do. I really do. Cool. Because
it looks really cool.
Yeah, because
I'm picturing, because you just said that you'd like to do it in colors, and I'm picturing like the picture I'm looking at, and I'm right away in my head, I'm like, it's like a Mondrian, all these geometrical colors, and yeah.
Ian, you gotta take a picture and put it on Twitter.
We should all do that after we finish recording. All right, here's our story. So, yeah. Please rate chaos or control.
Mine is getting a little chaotic right now because I'm running out of space. So I'm going onto the top shelves, which I usually try to avoid, like at the top of the shelves, which I usually try to avoid doing. But yeah, that's where we're at.
Yeah. Every start of the summer, that's what I do with my shelves here, is they get a good overhaul, but also because I had tons of games just lying on the floor and just in piles everywhere.
That makes me twitch.
I had to reorg and put them on there. So now all games but 2 are on the shelves. It's driving me nuts.
Don't let it bug you for the rest of the episode.
It's my 2 new games that I just got today too. So 2 games got to go out, I guess.
There you go. That's the rule.
And Norm, if I remember correctly, you kind of have shelves in different places in your room, right? Like you've got one shelf with all your small games, but that's actually removed from where most of your other games are, right? Like you kind of got little spots in your game room.
Well, see, my methodology was I have that one big wall that has most of my games in, and then the methodology of my shelving choices are whatever shelves my kids are no longer using in their rooms. I basically go zoink, thank you. I will calico screw this to the wall and attach it to the other. So yeah, I've got a kind of nice one, and then I've got a pardon the I don't want to offend anybody, but a Frankenstein kind of a calico conglomeration of different the what?
We don't want to offend all the actual Frankensteins out there.
Yeah. I was wondering if I would sneak that through and you guys wouldn't catch it. Like, wait, is there a community of Frankensteins?
I'm not awake enough to actually have caught that, but that's pretty cool.
I was watching Ryan's face and he's like, and I'm like, I referenced Frankenstein in the middle of my. Okay, well done.
I see
Ian.
nothing wrong here.
But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much. It's like if there's a room cleaning and a shelf that needs leaving, it's coming into my office, and there's going to be games going on it because I can't thin my collection down. So yeah, that's
any last words on our overall collection storage? Or should we move to inside the games?
I think
Yeah.
It's a good transition because if we get back to horizontal versus vertical, Ryan's going to there's going to be like a little blood vessel burst in his brow ridge.
Okay, let's shrink it down. So we were in the big country map and now we're zooming into the city maps. So how do we organize the inside of our games? So let's talk about the inserts.
Yeah.
Do you guys, is it an automatic get rid of the inserts? What's your thought?
No,
I pull the ejection cord immediately.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Not all the time. So I've gotten into this thing of going to Walmart and Hobby World or Michael's and stuff like this and getting the little small, like 5 or 6 compartment fishing tackle boxes to organize the little bits and sticking that. So if I'm getting one of those for a game, the inserts gotta go because they're never meant to fit that.
So
you're okay. You're basically like, I'm just accepting the fact that this game is just going to be like one of those garage sale games. Like I'm going to purposely make my game look like trash by putting in a fishing tackle box inside the game. That's what you're saying.
How am I making it look like trash?
wow,
It's like you're piecing it together out of random things you find in the basement. That's an awful
it's like
idea.
he's Frankensteining the inside of his box.
Okay.
Sure,
but-
it's practical.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'm not having to open up, like, this is my bad thing. I don't like opening up 7 little baggies to pour the components all over the table.
Don't trash
like
talk
that.
the baggies. Don't trash talk.
I'm not trash talking, but this keeps my table nice and organized.
Okay.
Along with your live worms.
I can pull out that little tray, put it in the middle of the table, open it up. Everybody's got access to the bits. They stay organized. When you're done, you put the bits back in, you close the lid, the box goes back in the board game box. Don't have to pour them back into the baggies.
I'll back you up on this. My Castle of Burgundy has a Plano fishing tackle kind of plastic thing that take the lid off, you open it up, and all the Castle of Burgundy chits are there perfectly. So I'll back you up on that one. For sure. But given the choice,
now
I'm all
I
about the
only do
baggies.
it. I only do it for games that I really like and I know that I'm going to play it a lot.
yeah.
That's
Well, that's a
'cause the
speed thing, right? You want to get it to the table.
Right. I got kids. Gaming
Enough
time
said.
is limited. I don't want to
Episode's
have
done.
to set up the game, take half an hour to set up the game. Open the box, put the fishing tackle box on the table, open it up, you're ready to go. Bada bing, bada boom.
Ian?
That, to me, that's like putting up a Van Gogh painting with thumbtacks. It's taking something really good and just making it look terrible.
What?
Just for
If it's sitting-
convenience sake.
Okay, Ian, look at my shelf behind me. Can you tell which games have fishing tackle boxes on the inside?
Oh, this is funny. Oh,
Because that's
I'm
why
going to
you
pull
played
out the
that
meeples.
argument.
Oh, the night crawlers are still in there. Yes, sorry.
oh, there's
I've
a Len
never
Tom-
actually taken these things fishing.
There's a Len Thompson 5 of diamonds right beside my meeples. Let's move on.
Let me guess. Ian's never purchased a third-party insert to organize his games before.
Oh,
That I have.
He dropped the gloves on that one, I think.
Oh, I know he has.
So
It's very beautiful.
talk about it. Which one did you get? Because you're typically not the one who will go into that third-party insert stuff.
The one I got it for was Suburbia, because Suburbia, yeah, it was a jumbled mess with all the tiles.
Yeah.
The insert was really nice, but I ended up getting rid of that game because I got the deluxe edition. But yeah, the insert was really nice. The only other one I did that for was Dominion, which was more of just a standard card.
Yeah.
But you could use it for any card game, right? You just
Yeah.
have all your cards and you stack them with dividers and things like that. Because I think I've talked about this on the show
You've got
before.
a deep collection.
I shrunk like 8 Dominion boxes down to 2 Dominion boxes.
Yeah.
And I got all the cards into 2 boxes using those dividers.
And the boxes weigh 80 pounds each.
They are heavy. Yeah, we're definitely not putting that on top of Takato.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with those third-party inserts, I have one of them that's like that balsa, that's the laser cut balsa thing for my Kemet. And it was expensive, but I love that game. But I also dig the foam core folded space inserts that they have for like wickedly reasonable prices, right? Like I got one for Paladins, and that game comes out a lot faster just because it's like drop, the trays are out, let's go.
Yeah, that's my third-party insert of choice, and it's because they're not wooden. They don't add weight to the boxes anymore. That now you get what you pay for. You don't get like nice lids. It's like sometimes those party inserts, like you can have wooden lids that slide and protect the components or something like that. And you're not doing that with the fold space, but they do organize the boxes very well. And any game that I have stored horizontally, like that, if it has a fold space insert, I'm storing it horizontally because they're not notorious for holding the bits in place if you do stand it up vertically with those ones.
And one thing I want to mention to people who get the wooden laser cut ones, I think I forget what company does, but they oil it, right? They'll put a stain on it, or they'll try to thematically match it. Realize though that if they're going to oil it or stain it, that your components are going to smell like that for the rest of that game's existence. So, that's a variable. Like when I did Kemet, and being a woodworker, I opened up the box. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, there's a good stained, wooden structure, and it maintains that odor for a while. So be aware.
The only wooden insert I have is for Gloomhaven, and it's a beautiful insert.
Yeah.
Makes the setup. So
those third-party inserts they can be some pretty cool ones. There's some that don't look very good. Like I know I'm bugging you about the Play-Doh boxes, Ryan, but in reality, like I do want it to still look like it could naturally be part of the game, right? And I have seen some of those wooden inserts that look alien to what the game is.
Yeah. I'm
trying to think of a good example. I remember seeing one for, I think it was Terraforming Mars. And I did not like it at all because it was a woodcut one, but it looked like a different game than what Terraforming Mars was. And I wasn't really a big fan of it.
There's some companies that put some thought into, like Meeple Realty really put some thought into what their product looks like and how it can thematically tie into the game and stuff like that. Others will just try to physically just fit your game into the box.
And I think I prefer that because that's unobtrusive, right? If you're just very functional and you're not declaring yourself as this amazing insert, that might be better. I don't know.
And I don't want to make you guys like have body shivers, but sometimes like I jokingly said at the top of it, first thing I do is I take the cardboard insert and I pitch it because everything's going in a bag and it's going in the box. So sometimes
I'm not against that, Norm.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, so here's an example. Santa Monica, right?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
We did. There's not actually a lot. Like the box is way bigger.
Yeah.
And so it's a very plain insert. I could get rid of that easily, but then my stuff's all scattering around. This insert actually holds them in a place.
But
right?
because
Go Ian.
See, nobody can see. Well, it's not everybody can see, but you don't even have anything in baggies, man. The cards are sliding around, and
cards they don't.
you got to put.
But everything else,
everything gets a baggie. We're giving it away.
Yeah, that's the reason why I usually don't go with these. I don't pitch the inserts is because if I am going to store my game vertically, that is taking up some space inside the box to keep the components from sliding and falling around a lot of the times.
And I appreciate when it's designed, keeping that in mind that people will go vertical and they'll build it so that everything is sitting on top, everything's lidding up on everything else kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I like it. I like it when they put that thought into it.
The only time I throw away the insert is because I do my best to get every expansion into the box, right?
Yeah.
And so obviously it's usually you're going to have to get rid of the insert then in order to fit. Yeah. But then of course, then you're getting rid of that problem already because you're filling the box with more stuff. I have a real trouble throwing out inserts that have artwork on them though. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Like
I could say it's part of the whole box experience.
Yeah. If it's just a plain white or cardboardy insert, okay, I have no problems. But
now parks, there's no way I was throwing in the inserts for parks because thought went into them.
Yeah.
And I apprecited that.
Parks insert are the best I've seen.
Yeah, because it's like, is it Game Trays that did that? Yeah.
Like they contracted that company, Game Trays, to design a thematic insert that will make their fast setup.
Yeah.
And so a lot of companies are doing this.
Yeah,
now.
It does. Totally.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love Game Trays inserts. If a game has it, usually it's now it's like, it's a Kickstarter stretch goal. Hey, if we can get to this funding goal, we can actually hire Game Trays to make an insert for us.
It'd be a good funding goal. If we can get to this first level, everybody gets bags in their games.
But I'll tell you, it's very satisfying if I can get all the expansions into the game box.
Yeah.
Without getting that lid rise.
Yeah.
If
I can do that.
Yeah. And I'm still so proud of my Raiders of the North Sea. It's still in the original. I got both expansions into the original box. No insert needed, but that thing is packed. There's no room.
It's like you need a cryptography degree to get that puzzle solved.
I've seen it. Yeah.
I think
if
I'm
only one of us had
now.
a cryptography.
Or 5,
I think I'm up to 50 now.
Norm.
Yeah.
You're going to be mad at this. So this is going to make your eye twitch.
Uh-oh.
So you throw out the inserts when you get a game.
Yeah.
Guess what I throw out? Anything that has to do with the solo mode. Gone.
Well, see, but you know what? Because you're in a household that's like extraneous, right? So for me, it's a survival tactic.
Actually, I usually only do if I'm like trying to get things to fit, and I'm like, I don't like root. I don't need that. I don't need the stuff.
No. And
we actually came across solo cards when we were playing last game, and we're trying to figure out what they do. And we're like, I'm like, I think these are the solo. Okay, let's just get rid of them. We just like threw them on
let's tear them up and send a video to Norm. And Ryan, you finally crossed a threshold where you got rid of your empty expansion boxes.
Yeah, it was actually liberating when I did it.
It is, right? I get it.
So when
you watched an episode of Hoarders,
just put them up on the Facebook community page or something like that to say, hey, does anybody have any use for these old boxes? I'm not artsy, or anything like that. Who wants just an empty box? People were flooding my message box saying, yeah, I'll take
Are you
that
serious?
box.
How much did you hyperventilate just clicking,
Jeez, I just threw them
clicking
in the
that
recycle.
commitment?
Oh man, it was liberating. And some people actually offered to compensate me. Like I got like $10-15 out of all of them that I ended up getting rid of. But yeah, I was like, cool.
Well, you never know, right? You never know.
Yeah. Roberta from Breakout Escape, she took a bunch of boxes that she's going to display as art in her board game lounge.
Yeah.
At Breakout there. So I was like, why not?
I never thought of that. Save some up for our sponsors and just see if they want to do some stuff with it. Because they got stores, they got displays. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dragon's Den and Amazing don't really have all that much. Have you been in those stores lately?
But my box lids might have wear because I like to do the elastic trick. So
Yeah, let's talk about this disaster. So
wait. I want to remind you guys that my Snowdonia not only has 2 elastics on both planes, but there's a Ziploc of stuff that didn't fit in the box that's on the outside of the box, elastic tensioned to the box. So for those people who don't have a video, Ryan went into cardiac arrest.
This is a crime against
Cardboard?
Board games, cardboard. You need to have your gamer's card revoked.
No. This is Fear and Loathing in Norm's game collection. That's what we're talking about.
Okay, well, I can admit that I actually have a little storage system that you can't see. It's got drawers, and that's where actually all my small box games go into. Is I just kind of just like Sushi Go, it just gets chucked into a drawer. But that's where all the small box games are because they just.
Are you not proud of those, Ryan? Are you not willing to display them? You're embarrassed of them?
So embarrassed that I own these small box games.
So the elastic band and stuff and the scuffing on the box, like for me, it doesn't matter because I don't really want to sell these games. But is it significant for you, Ryan?
For what, the elastic band thing?
Yeah. Or just that idea, like you said, of horizontal and the weight and the
keeping your boxes in good shape. Right?
Yeah. For it's
the elastic bands would solve my vertical storage box separation problem, but they look butt ugly.
Yeah, they really do.
Well, and they change the whole dynamic of you putting games crazy because if you put it on the elastic side, then you got this little rubber stopping the slide of your box kind of thing. But back to this idea.
What's a bigger crime? What's a bigger crime? Elastic bands on the outside or fishing tackle boxes on the inside?
I was just going to say they're both like displayed at a garage sale somewhere, that kind of aesthetic.
Man,
but I think rubber bands is worse. I
think he's calling us on some duct tape and lumberjack shirts here, buddy.
Some of my game boxes are pretty beat up, though, I will admit. They rip at the corners. Oh.
Lots of these games though behind me, baggies of components.
Well, you'd go broke if you put inserts for all of them.
And then I've got my I've got my whole extra bits. Like here's my extra bags that have to go into my baggie drawer.
Right,
somebody would think that I'm a drug dealer or something like that because of how many small plastic bags I have.
This guy's got a lot of Ziplocs in his house. What's going on here? We're looking for the lab.
Yeah, I've got that too, Ryan. Don't worry. I've got a massive
wasn't
stack.
It when we went to MeepleCon, Norm? I had all these, I had all these little bits and pieces in these plastic baggies.
Yeah, airport security didn't like that look through the X-ray.
Security, and they came to my bag and went, and they're like, "Sir, can you open this up so we can see what's inside?" I was like, "What?" They're like, "What are these baggies? Can you explain these?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, those are for board games." Yeah. Really?
Yeah. From inquisitive, threatening to inquisitive. That sounds like fun. Yeah. It was rather entertaining to watch. It was this kind of, he'll get there. And there you go. Yes.
Please don't
like
make
Monopoly.
me prove it by eating one. Please don't let me prove it by eating one.
Yeah. So I think, well, Ian, what do you think? Did we pretty much round out this whole?
I think so. I hope so. We talked quite a bit about it.
I hope Hans got what he wanted out of this conversation.
Maybe too much.
Maybe we went in a completely different direction than he really wanted or anything like that.
I'm just worried about the fact that next time we all got to come together, there'll be this intervention for me. Get rid of the elastics, Norm. Put the stuff in the box. Don't tape it to the outside.
Doesn't Board Game Geek have on their store like the Geek Up bands? They're kind of like elastics, but they just go around the corners.
They're flat. They sit nice and flat. So yeah. And they're H bands, right? So they're not just one, but they're like an H kind of band. So it gets all the sides properly, doesn't scuff the edges. It's not like I've researched them at all. So yeah,
right.
I think we did a good job. So that's like we always say, that brings us to this point. Thank you so much for listening to us not blather on, but talk some sensible thought about storage.
I can't believe we got past going vertical or horizontal. Like, see, you guys just shut me down.
He came back to it.
We'll get back to it next week. Ryan.
We'll put a pin in that. So, as I always like,
Brian, for the Thinking Playing doing the next 3 weeks, that's all Ryan's putting in there. Let's talk more about vertical versus horizontal.
I want my 10 minutes.
There'll be volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. Awesome. That being said, I'm your host, Norm.
Is it horizontal or vertical? We didn't decide, Ryan.
And say no to Plano. I've been Ian.
And we'll catch you later.
This has been an episode of Cardboard Conjecture, and we are Bridge City Board Gamers. And you can find us on Facebook at Bridge City Board Gamers Saskatoon. You can find us on YouTube, Bridge City Board Gamers. We are also on Twitter at BC Board Gamers. And of course, Board Game Geek Guild number 3039.